Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail, and I have a video for you from Judge John Lockwood in Texas. He is holding a permanency hearing for 6 children, and the parents of these 6 children were arrested for injury to one of them. I don't know what the nature of that was, but enough to have the children removed from their custody. 2 of the kids went to live with Grandma and Grandpa. 4 of them went to live with some other couple, and I still haven't figured out who this other couple is, how they're related to them, if they're an aunt or uncle, or if they're just a family friend. I'm really not sure. But the parents do not want all the kids with Grandma and Grandpa. All the kids, though, want to be with Grandma and Grandpa. And I had to go through and kind of bleep out a bunch of words. So I've written the word. Every time I bleeped it out, I tried to write it. So hopefully I caught them all. But I don't want to give too much away. But I just wanted to let you guys know kind of the layout of what was going on. And I'll let you guys watch.
All right, a very good Friday afternoon to everyone. The Second Region Child Protection Court Number 1, Newton County, is now in session. We are proceeding virtually by agreement and pursuant to Texas Government Code 24.1017 and 74.094. We are here on the Gadsden matter. It looks like everyone is here. So on the record in CV 2315203. All right, last time we were in court together, on its own motion, the court set this hearing in regards to placement, specifically whether the 4 older children's placement should change and become that of the 2 older children, namely with the intervenor Melissa Jones. So let me call roll here, and calling first, if you'll unmute, announce your appearance, Precious Gatson.
Here.
All right, thank you. Next, Mr. Darren Gatson.
Here.
All right, thank you. And Melissa Jones.
Your Honor, Miss Jones is running just a few minutes late. This is Joe Glenn Kayla, for the record, present on her behalf. She's running just a few minutes late. Hopefully she'll be here by the time you get finished call and roll.
All right, and she'll be joining you there in the same room with you?
Yes, sir. She'll be joining me.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. So, all right, so Mr. Burt, for the network, are you ready, Mr. Burt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Ogbidi, are you ready, sir, for the parents?
Yes, Your Honor. Daniel Ogbidi for Precious and Darren Garcia, we are ready.
All right, thank you. And I will skip over Mr. Kayla for now and go to Mr. Crocker. Are you ready, Mr. Crocker?
Ready, and I represent EG, GG, DG, and MG minor children.
Okay, very good. And the MG would be the younger of the 2 MGs. And thank you, Mr. Crocker, for remembering to use initials only. We are, as I'm sure you know, live streaming on YouTube in order to maintain public access and open courts. So thank you for that. All right, now to Ms. Hollier. Ms. Hollier, are you ready?
Ready, Your Honor.
Right, thank you. And Ms. Bythewood, are you ready?
Yes, representing the older MG, and thank you for allowing me to be a few minutes late, even though I didn't have to be.
All right, well, thank you. All right, is it fair to say, and still the case, that the ones opposing this motion hearing would be the parents? Is that right, Mr. Ogbidi?
Not, I'm sorry, Your Honor, just slightly, if I can clarify. So
Sure, please,
they are
yes.
not opposing a placement with all of them with someone else, but they are opposing placing them with the Jones, everybody with the Jones. So that's kind of it. I mean, they are
Right.
okay with placement with someone else, but not with the Jones.
Okay. Parents want the children placed together ideally, but none with the Jones.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is that fair to say? All right, thank you. All right, any other announcements further? Or anything akin to any opening statements? If there is a request for those, the court would receive those now.
Your Honor, whenever the court is ready, I would like to make a brief opening. Maybe that will help everybody knows where we are headed.
All right, very good. Let me bring Ms. Mitchell, the CASA supervisor, in. Mr. Kayla, are you okay with us proceeding to opening statements?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Ogbadi, you may proceed, sir.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to try to be brief. I have spoken extensively with my client. They are in agreement that the children be placed together in anywhere the courts deem suitable, but there is ongoing concern that they have that each time that the children on weekends visit the Jones, that is usually either some injury or some unexplained like marks or bites with the children. So they believe placing everybody together with the Jones would actually constitute endangerment of all of them. They do have Amy Hilson that they believe is available and willing and able and qualified to be a placement for all three children. Whether or not the court is willing to entertain that person today is a different issue, but I just hope that the court listens to them, to their concern, and maybe with the help of the alliance for the children, the court can be led to a proper placement. But my client don't believe that the Jones are suitable. Thank you.
All right, that name again, Mr. Ogbadi.
Yeah, Amy. I believe Amy is A-M-Y, and then the last name is, I think they say Hyson, but it's H-I-S-O-N.
H-I-S-O-N.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you aware whether that name has been given to the department?
So since I just came on the case and I was discussing this with my client mom today, and she said the name was brought up, but what happens to it, she doesn't know during the initial placement discussion.
Okay, and the relationship to the children?
I believe she said aunts, so I don't know whether that's aunt or the children's aunt, but okay. Yeah, that I don't know yet.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crocker.
Your Honor, in speaking with counsel for the parents, it is my understanding that what he has elucidated the court on as far as the request for placement is in fact going to be the topic of discussion today. I've also spoke with Jones's counsel, and I believe they're adamantly opposed to that. I have some questions of each party, and I think the court will be able to make a determination upon placement of all the children at the conclusion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker. Ms. Hollier, and okay, I see Ms. Jones here. So Ms. Hollier, Ms. Bythewood, and then Mr. Kayla. And Mr.
Sorry. So, Your Honor, I guess I was a little unclear when you reset this. This was a placement hearing considering moving the youngest four. That I was not put on notice that my client was part of that placement discussion. I absolutely believe that my client is where she needs to be, and it would not be in her best interest to move her whatsoever. And that's my position today.
All right. And so you would be right. And Ms. Bythewood as well, if she says as much. It is not moving, of course, barring an emergency or barring some evidence that would militate in favor of it. Moving the oldest MG and AG is not before the court. And I believe Mr. Ogbadi acknowledged as much. But the parents are, however, re-urging this name for consideration of placement, possibly of most or all of the children. So to that extent, you're correct. And so Ms. Bythewood, and then Mr. Kayla, and then Mr. Burt.
That was my concern as well, whether or not my client, who is adamant about being where she wants to be, is moved. I know that that's been a position of the parents since the beginning, and she is in favor of her siblings being placed with her.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bythewood. Now, Mr. Kayla, and then Mr. Burt.
Thank you, Your Honor. We feel like it would be in the best interest of these children to be all placed together. These kids have been together their whole lives, and the separation has not really worked out, in our opinion, to be in their best interest, based on how upset they get when they have to go back to the Gadsden's home after visiting with the Joneses. The Joneses are ready, willing, and able to accommodate the other 4 children, and we think that that would be in their best interest for them all to be under one roof, and that roof being the Joneses.
All right, Mr. Kayla, thank you. Mr. Burt?
Yes, Your Honor. Not having spoke with the caseworker, but I feel like she will agree with me that these kids do need to be together. Based on some concerns that we've had in the past year, I do not feel like throwing a new person into the equation at this time will be in anybody's best interest, parents, children, anyone. The name Amy Hyson, I may have heard it in the beginning of the case. That's the first I've heard it since then. There's nothing that the Joneses have done that has caused the state any problems to my knowledge. So if there is a change in placement, the state would not be in opposition to that going to Miss Jones. Further than that, that's as far as I would speak. I did not receive, however, on the second portion of this, I believe child support was something that was going to be discussed. I did not receive any check stubs, and I don't know whether the caseworker has received any or not either. So that's something that would be discussed afterwards. So not opposed to a change in placement if the placement is going with the Joneses, but throwing a new name in the mix, I don't think that would be in the best interest of any of the children or the parents or the current placements.
In Your Honor, we just received the pay stubs, so we have them.
All right. So I believe I actually set that for submission today, expecting an agreement and then for me to consider and sign today, perhaps during or at the conclusion of this hearing. So with that, let me get everyone who may testify to raise your right hands to be sworn. And I trust you know who you are, certainly CASA and the network and the parents and the placements. If you'll raise your right hands at this time, let me swear everyone in. All right, do you all swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All right, yes. Okay, that appears, thank you. That appears to be everyone. Mr. Burt, you may call him
Yes.
first. Thank you.
Yes, I
Honor,
call Jesselyn
prior to
McMullen.
that, may I ask for a point of order? Or is anybody here on behalf of the elders in the waiting room or anything like that?
That's a good question. I do not, I believe Mr. Elder is here. I don't see anyone presently in the waiting room.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Our court reporter, if you see anyone in the waiting room, just let me know. We can bring them in. All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. McMullins, you were sworn. You're unmuted. So, Mr. Burt, you may proceed.
Ms. Jesselyn, you're the caseworker, correct?
Yes.
Do you think it would be appropriate at this time to have the children change placements to somebody that has not been a part of this case from the beginning?
No, I do not.
Has Miss Jones cared for the children in a proficient manner, in a safe manner, in a caring manner, the children that she has custody of or placement of right now?
Yes.
Do you foresee a problem if the remaining children were taken out of the custody of the elders and placed with Miss Jones?
No.
Do you think that would alleviate some of the problems the children are currently having in changing from back and forth?
Yes.
Do you think it would be in the best interest of all the children to be together?
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you could shed light on as far as the court's concerned in making a decision to grant placement to the Joneses? As far as concerns, what concerns have you seen that
I
would
don't
grant?
have any. I'm sorry. I don't have any
Oh.
concerns with Miss Jones. I know that there has been several intakes called in on Miss Jones. They have all been investigated. They have all been ruled out. So the agency does not have any concerns with the children being placed in Miss Jones' home.
All right. Why do you think right now is a time for a change in placement?
Because we are in the 10th month of this case, and the children, 4 younger children, are still having a very hard time with the transition from one place to another.
Is that causing prolonged problems?
Yes.
And as you stated earlier, that would alleviate those problems, in your opinion. All right. Do you believe, I guess we're going to have an agreement as far as child support. Did you receive any check stubs?
I did not.
Okay. So to sum it up, do you believe a placement with the Joneses would be acceptable and any other names thrown out would not be acceptable?
Correct.
I'd pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Agbadi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bonis, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Have you received any form of message from the elders or from my client that the children don't want to, the children with the elders don't want to go to the Jones house?
No.
Okay. Like you saying, my clients never forwarded you a message indicating that?
No.
When was the last time you spoke to the elders?
For our last court hearing, I spoke to Mrs. Elder.
So, I mean, in the last court hearing, we discussed, remember we discussed, like coming back here, we knew we were going to have a hearing today, right, regarding placement.
Correct.
Right, so did you discuss with the elders whether those children want to be placed with the Jones?
I did not.
Okay. So have you had any discussions with the elders regarding whether, not from last week, just ever, whether or not the children want to stay with them or they want to be removed?
No, I have not.
Okay. So the idea of placing these children with the Jones without talking to the current placement, where is that coming from? In terms, like from you, where did you get the idea that it would be in their best interest to place them with the Jones?
I have had conversations. I know when the conversation came up that I had with the elders regarding Miss Jones going down to only one visit a month, the elders were upset about that. If the children should not be going over there, I don't think that they would have been upset that they were only going to be going over there once a month.
Okay. MG, I think one of the children, MG, have you been told by either the parent or?
I apologize. Could we have clarification? We have two of them.
Since I don't know. So MIG, would that help? I'm not
MG,
trying to say the name.
I understand. I understand.
Okay. MIRG, would that work?
Not sure their middle names, so maybe MG younger or MG older.
Okay. Well, I'm still trying to get, remember I just get on this case, 6 children, so I don't know the order.
Is it the MG that's currently
MIR, first name starts with MIR. You know that.
Okay, so that would be Ms. Bythewood's client.
Okay, I guess, so that MG, were you aware that MG last month had a busted lip when they were at the Jones house?
We need some clarification, Your Honor, because he's not talking about my client.
Right. Okay. So the youngest MG is placed with the elders, and the oldest MG is placed with Ms. Jones.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the youngest MG when they visited the Jones house, that child suffered a busted lip. So I'm just asking if you were aware of it.
I was aware of it and it was looked into. I don't remember the exact situation because I've had intakes since then, but I am aware of that situation.
Okay. And then EG, when they visited this Jones house, were you aware that they suffered like some illness that they had to be hospitalized, like EG?
She had to be hospitalized?
Yes.
No, I know of a situation where she was sick and was seen at the emergency room, but was not admitted and hospitalized.
I may have misspoke. Maybe I used them interchangeably, but you were aware that they needed to basically bring in, like, had to go to an emergency room.
Yes, because she was sick.
Okay. And were you also aware? Sorry.
Buddy, if we can get a time frame for the busted lip and the sickness that took the youngest to the ER.
Okay, I will reask you now. So the busted lips that I was referring to for MG that visited the Jones house, that was from last month. I don't know the exact dates since I don't do the visitation, but I'm just saying, were you aware that was last month, September?
I'm not sure the exact date. I couldn't tell you. I can't remember if it was last month or if it was August.
Okay.
Because I don't recall that happening after school had started, and they started in August.
Okay. And then I apologize if I'm misleading the court. I'll have my client clarify, okay? And then were you aware sorry, I don't know if someone said something. Were you aware that same MG, the one we're talking about, when they visited the Jones house, they actually swallowed a coin?
No, I was not aware of that.
Okay. Okay. So if these things turn out to be true or based on whatever standard we use, do you still recommend that this MG still be placed with the Jones?
Yes, because she has never made an outcry at Miss Jones' home.
Okay. That's all the question I have for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kayla, and then Mr. Crocker, and so on.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mullins, can you tell the court why Ms. Jones reduced the visits to once a month?
Because there continues to be reports that are called in on her, and when looked into are false. So there are false allegations being called in that they're doing things to the children. And once they're looked into, the children never make an outcry. Everything is denied. And
Isn't it true that since day one of when the children were separated and the four youngest children went to the elders, isn't it true that every single time the children came to visit the Joneses, someone made a report that the children were being abused or neglected?
correct.
Every single visit. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you even estimate how many reports have been how many allegations have been made against the Joneses since this case began?
No.
Pages and pages and pages of intakes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Probably 50 times?
Give or take.
At least 40 times?
I'm not sure on the exact number,
Okay,
but
that's
it's been a lot.
Every time the kids went to the Joneses, somebody called and somebody called CPS, correct?
Correct. And if it wasn't one person, it was two people.
Okay. And every time you're obligated to investigate that, correct?
Yes.
And every time you did,
Yes.
and y'all didn't find anything wrong.
No.
And you feel like it would be in these children's best interest to be with the Joneses.
Yes.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Ma'am, have the elders offered to take all of the children under the same roof?
Yes.
Okay. And when was that offer made?
Um, this was back in August.
Of 24?
Yes.
And what did the department do in investigating that request?
I had a conversation with the older two children, and they don't want to be anywhere but with Miss Jones.
So short of the children's desires, is there anything physically wrong with the elder household?
No.
Is there anything that is of concern regarding any of the elders individually as people?
No.
The issues that have been brought up regarding the busted lip, the ER visit, and the swallowed coin, is that part of the 40 plus call-ins that have been made?
No.
Has the department been made aware of those issues other than today?
Yes.
Okay. Have those been verified?
The busted lip and Ella being sick, yes.
The illness that resulted in a trip to the hospital, but not an admission.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything about those two incidences that concerns the department?
No.
Okay. It was proven that a child had swallowed a coin. Would that be a concern to the department?
I was never made aware of that.
Okay.
From either household.
Either elders or Jones, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware of any dynamics regarding the parents and their choice between Elders or Jones?
I'm not sure.
Well, sorry, it's probably a poorly asked question. Either you are aware or you aren't.
I'm not really understanding how to answer that. If there's like problems between them, or
let me ask it a different way. Do you know whether the parents of these children have a preference of the children going with one party or the other?
yes,
And not party, one group of people or the other. Only one person's a part. One group is a party here.
yes.
Okay. What is your understanding of the parents' position?
They would like the children to be placed with the elders.
Do you know why?
No.
Okay. Concerns, or what concerns have been made to you regarding the Joneses by the parents?
That there is neglect that occurs in the home.
Okay. And is that part of the 40 some odd calls that have gone to the department since the beginning of this case?
Yes.
All of them investigated, vetted, and determined to not have occurred?
Yes. These were actually being investigated by a special investigator.
Do each one of these have to result in a letter sent to the parents regarding the allegations, unable to determine reason to believe, etc.?
I'm not sure. I don't work investigations.
Fair enough. That's a better question for someone else.
Correct.
Does it give pause to have all the children under one roof, regardless of which roof it is?
You cut out at the beginning of the question. Can you repeat it?
I can. Does it give you any pause to have all the children placed under one roof, whichever roof it may be?
I do believe the children should be together.
Do you have concerns about all the children being in one home over the other?
I would not want to move the older two, as that is not what they want, and they are progressing well with Miss Jones.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitewood.
How long have you been on this case?
Since May.
All right. And since May, how many times have the parents reached out to you regarding concerns of their children visiting with the Jones?
They actually never reached out to me. The only way I knew was by the intakes that were being called in. I make sure to ask them every month if they have any concerns for any of their children, and their answer is always no.
Okay. Do they have your contact information?
Yes,
And they received that when you got the case in May?
correct.
And they have never reported to you any kind of concerns regarding their children visiting the Joneses?
No.
Does that make any sense to you?
It does not.
Regarding the children's, what are the ages of the children?
1, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 10.
And so we're looking at the 1 to 6-year-old about moving. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how did the busted lip come about?
It was actually a daycare incident.
Oh, so was the daycare called on?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's a licensed daycare. Shouldn't they have been?
Yes.
Okay, well, whether they did anything wrong or not, it was an injury that occurred there. Okay, so busted lip is daycare. Um, the coin that was, again, was that confirmed or not?
I have never been made aware of that situation.
Okay, wouldn't that be a good idea for them to tell their caseworker you that this is going on?
Correct.
Okay. Any other incidents that you've been made aware of through investigations?
Besides the intakes, no.
Well, that's what I mean, specifically the intakes. What do the intakes consist of?
The children being locked in closets, the children being molested, the children being beaten, the children not being watched, um, the children having marks on them. And some of them are repetitive. They call in the same information.
And because of all these numerous intakes, this is going to special investigations. This is not the investigation unit that covers Newton and Jasper County.
Correct.
And do you know where these special investigators are from?
Tyler.
Okay, so they're not even from our region. That's Region 4, right?
Correct.
So these are people who are totally outside of us. And I know that you don't know what the dispositions are, but have they contacted you about their concerns, the special investigators?
They have concerns that there's numerous intakes being called in constantly. There are no concerns as far as the home.
So their concern is that the system's being abused?
Correct.
Is there any legal action being taken against people who are abusing the system?
I'm not sure.
Ma'am, were you aware that the very first person that the father reached out to help with the oldest child was his mother?
Correct.
And that when he couldn't get a hold of her, he called his sister?
Yes.
And they had packed up all the oldest's belongings and they were literally giving this child.
Yes.
So the person that they reached out to for help for the first time is now the person that they're condemning?
Yes.
Make any sense to you?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. Pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hoyer.
Ms. Mullins, I think you said it. My client is exactly where she wants to be and needs to be, right?
Correct.
Do you know her position on all her siblings coming to live there?
They are really close. She loves her siblings, and the younger siblings love her and the older MG. So I think they all want to be together and have been since day one.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Burt.
Jesslyn, you've reviewed the entire case file, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that the state could not technically agree with placement with the elders?
Yes.
And that it would have to be court ordered for them to be with the elders, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember why?
Because of a background check.
All right. But the state did not agree to that placement, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'd pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. McMullins?
Just a few follow-up from me, Your Honor. How many, may I continue, Your Honor?
You may, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. How many bedrooms if you are aware, if you know, do they have in the Jones house for the children?
I couldn't say off the top of my head. I've been in all of them. I just don't remember.
Okay. What about in the elders home? Do you know how many bedrooms will be available for all 6 children? I mean, for the children.
I think they have a 3-bedroom, but I'm not sure. I think it's 3 rooms.
That's all I have for regarding placement.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. McMullins?
Just briefly, Your Honor.
Uh,
Ms. McMullins, specifically, it was a background check on Mr. Elder. Is that correct?
Correct.
Miss Elder actually works for the department, doesn't she? Okay, so she's.
And I didn't, Ms. McMullins, I didn't get the answer.
Yes, she works for the department. Sorry.
So there's nothing bad about her background, is there?
No.
And Mr. Elder, what was in his background, it was just a bar for placement, but it wasn't anything that happened recently, and it's nothing that involves harming children. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. McMullins? All right, thank you. You can go back to mute, Ms. McMullins, thank you. Mr. Burt, you may call your next, if any.
I'd pass at this time, Your Honor. I have no further witnesses.
All right, thank you. Mr. Agbaidi, do you want to call the witness now, or do you want to defer?
I would like to call them now, so it's not that we're discussing it.
Very good, very good. You may.
I'll call Precious Gaston.
All right. Ms. Gatson, you were sworn. We'll get you unmuted.
All right. Ms. Gaston, if you don't mind, unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. And you know why we're here, right?
And I'm sorry, Mr. Agbaidi, we might need to get Mr. Gatson to turn his volume down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's try it again, Miss Gaston. Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay. You know why we're here today, right?
Yes.
It's to discuss placements for all children. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Just briefly, do you have any opinion as to where your children should be placed?
You said, do I have an opinion?
Yes.
I feel like I should.
Okay, go ahead. So what is that? What do you want, tell this judge where you want your children to be placed?
I feel like that. I also feel like they all should be together, but not in the placements that they're choosing. If they feel like the elders are not fit, I have an aunt that has been willing to get the kids since the beginning, but if that's not considered, I would rather them be where they are with the elders.
Okay. Let's quickly discuss the elders. So why do you prefer the elders to the Jones?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Why do you prefer for your children to be with the elders instead of the Jones?
Because I feel like they're safer.
Okay. And do you know how many bedrooms is available for the children at the elders home?
I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4. I think it's 4.
What about the Jones home? Do you know how many bedrooms they have there?
It's 3.
Okay. And you were here earlier when we discussed the issues that you have regarding the children, like but sometimes that they have visited the Jones home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you heard about the slips for MJ, one of the MJs that doesn't live, who doesn't live with the elders. I mean, sorry, who doesn't live with the Jones, right?
Yes.
So do you remember when that late incident happened?
If it wasn't last month, that means it was right before school started, I believe, in August, early August.
Okay. And what was your concern about that?
She arrived at the pickup with the lip. And they stated that it happened from Paul, not daycare. It was not at the daycare. It was on a Sunday. They don't attend daycare on Sundays.
Okay. And EG also, are you aware of, is there any concerns you have regarding EG?
Well, Ella, well, I'm sorry, I couldn't say the name. EG, she was also picked up upon arrival and had to be taken to the hospital with a very high fever, and her breathing was not, she was not breathing correctly, and that's why she was taken to the hospital.
Okay. Any concerns regarding issues with eyes in the last 2 months?
I was told that she had an eye, and I was not, no one made me aware of the situation. It was told to me about her eye being, and also the ants that she had. It was over 20 ants in her hand.
When was that? When did you observe the ants you're talking about?
I believe it was about a month ago also, if not August.
Okay. And then we issued the issue of the coin, a coin being sold by MG. When did that happen?
That was, I believe, at the September, probably 3 weeks ago at the latest. She arrived also at the pickup crying, saying that she's going, and Mrs. Jones said it was not true, but Mr. Paul Jones recommended that Mariana would be taken to a hospital because he's not sure exactly if it happened or not.
Okay. But was the child ever taken to the hospital by
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And is that a concern to you?
Yes.
Okay. And just to be sure, you said you rather they stay where they are rather than to move them to the Jones. Is that correct?
Yes, I would rather them be where they are if they can't consider any other placement. If they can't consider any ISOM, then I would rather them be where they are.
Okay. What is your relationship with Amy Hudson?
She's my aunt, and she's also my kid's great aunt.
Okay. And have they spent any time with Amy Hudson before this case started?
Yes, we attend family gatherings together.
So they know her?
Yes.
And in Amy Hudson, does she reside with someone else?
No, she stays alone.
Okay. Do you know how many bedrooms that she has available at her house?
I think she has 4 bedrooms.
Okay. Just based on your knowledge about Amy Hudson, does she have any felony or CPS history, negative CPS history?
No, she does not.
Okay. Do you believe she's willing and able and qualified to be a placement for your children?
Yes.
Are you asking this judge to order CPS to look into her whether she qualifies as a placement?
Yes, if it can be considered, yes.
Okay. Any other concerns that you have that we have not discussed?
Just in general, I feel like the kids are not safe, and the kids are there's constantly things wrong, whether it's reported or not. When I get the information, I do report it, but most of the time this goes on between the elders and the Joneses. I don't know what's being reported, and I don't know what statements are being made. I know I'm told, and I know what I report. So when I get the information that I have, I get it directly from a source. I don't make up stories about what's happened to my kids or why I'm concerned. If the kids are constantly sick and hurt, then I feel like it's a concern that how can you be able to watch all 6?
Question, almost there, just a few more. Sorry, I don't want to lose my thought. You heard when we asked the caseworker regarding whether or not she was aware, whether or not she had received any message regarding the children desire not to go with the Jones, and she said no. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you brought to her knowledge in the last few months that the children don't want to live with the Jones?
Have I brought to her knowledge?
Or anyone that you are aware of brought to her knowledge
I believe someone has brought to her knowledge that it didn't come from me, but I'm sure it's been brought to her.
Like, what can you tell the judge? Like, where is the information? What information are you relying on to tell the judge that the four other children don't want to be placed with the Jones?
It was stated that my son was not want to go to the Joneses' house by text.
Has that text been forwarded to the caseworker or any CPS agent?
The caseworker.
Okay. And do you remember around what time that text would have been forwarded to the caseworker?
I believe late September.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to object. I hate to, because we need to speed this along, but all of this is hearsay, and I would object to that. Object to her testimony. It's based on hearsay.
All right. Whom was the text from, Ms. Gatson?
The text was between Mr. Elder and the caseworker, Ms. Jesslyn, where he texted her and let her know that DG did not want to go to Joneses.
Wait, sorry. Your Honor, I didn't get you.
The objection is sustained. Next question.
Okay. That's all the question I have, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kayla.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gatson, how many times have you called in and reported the Joneses to CPS?
I'm not sure, but I'm definitely sure it was not 40.
Okay. Can you give us a ballpark?
I do not know. I can probably count it on both hands, probably at least 5 to 6 times.
Okay. And this is information that you get directly from a source. I believe that was your testimony earlier, correct?
Yes.
So
or if the kids say something to me directly.
Okay. Well, the only time you see the kids directly is at your supervised visitations, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's easy to say that the majority of the times that you've called CPS on the Joneses, that you were doing so based on information that someone else relayed to you.
No, that is not true.
Okay. Now I'm confused because you said you get your information directly from a source.
I get my information from the children, or I get the information from whoever's dealing with the children directly.
Okay.
That are at the pickups when this stuff is happening.
So the department is there at the pickup as well, correct?
No.
Tell me how the pickups go.
The pickups between the Elders and the Joneses, and also my sister that goes along with Mr. Elder. There is no caseworker at that scene at all. So if anything comes from anyone, it's going to come from the Elders or the Joneses. The case, it will be hearsay, basically. If someone goes to tell the caseworker something, that would be the same thing if they come tell me something.
Okay. So since this case began, you have called CPS 5 or 6 times is what your testimony is, correct?
I believe so. I do not count, but I believe so.
So the other 40 or so times would have been either your husband or the Elders, correct?
No, I don't know who the people are. I'm not aware of who reports everything. I don't know.
Prior to this case beginning, how often were your children at the Joneses' house?
Not often.
How often did you see the Joneses interact with your children?
Not often.
Then why was it that when this situation arose, your husband, his mother was Mrs. Jones, was the first person that he called to have help with the children?
That's a question for Mr. Gatson.
Okay, I'll ask him. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
And with respect to the incidents of the Jones household, did you report the busted lip?
Did I report it? I believe that the Elders reported it. I'm not sure who reported it.
Did you report the ER visit?
I did.
Okay. And did you report the coin?
I'm not sure who reported that.
Okay. And what about the on the hand?
I didn't report the invite.
Did you hear the CPS worker's testimony when she said every allegation of up to this point have been investigated and ruled out?
Yes, I did hear.
Do you disagree with that?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitewood.
Ma'am, isn't it true that the only allegation of that has been confirmed was against you and your husband?
I'm not aware.
Okay. And you said that there wasn't a whole lot of interaction between the Joneses and y'all. Didn't y'all have a birthday visit for Mrs. Jones' birthday where y'all spent a weekend together with her right before this case started?
No, I did not spend a weekend with Mrs. Jones for her birthday.
Okay. What about a birthday party, a family get together?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know that was considered spending a lot of time with her.
You testified that if the kids are constantly sick, how can they take care of 6 of them? Who are you referring to? You said they.
If I'm in disagreement with the kids going to the Joneses, and a lot of the times when the kids are sick or getting these sicknesses, it's from the Joneses' home.
All right. But don't they just spend one weekend a month there? Aren't they spending the rest of the month with the elders?
I'm not sure how many weekends they spend with the Joneses because that I'm not told that. But what I do know, they are always sick, and this has been going on since December. The kids have been sick since December with ear infections and different things. They have not been. It's never been.
Since they've been placed with the elders.
No, since they've been placed with the Joneses.
Well, they're not placed with the Joneses, they're placed with the elders.
As I stated, the kids come from the Joneses' house sick with fevers constantly.
Okay, constantly, the one weekend a month, but who's telling you this?
As I stated, my sister goes to the drop-offs with Mr. Elder, and she is able to observe the kids and see the kids, and also see if how they're acting, if anything's wrong. She's there, and when visits, I also see this stuff.
Okay, so your sister's telling you this, you're seeing this in visits. Who else is telling you this?
I just stated.
So just your sister?
Yes, I do have no contact with Mr. Elder.
Except when you provide things for your children, right? Because y'all have been doing.
I still have no direct contact to Mr. Elder. He lets my mother know, or my sister knows, or even the caseworker, whoever it may be, what is needed for the children, and we get whatever is needed.
Okay, how do you facilitate that?
It is given to my sister, and she can take it over because she has visitation with the kids. So she takes it over, or if she can't do it, the caseworker.
Okay. And Ms. Gatson, this isn't a gotcha, just wondering how you were facilitating getting the items to Mr. and Miss Elder, because there's nothing out there that says that you can't see Mr. and Miss Elder, right?
As far as I know, it says we cannot contact with the elders, so we avoid the elders because we were told we can't have any communication with them, so we don't meet or do anything with them.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. I'll pass you as a witness.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Hollier.
Thank you. Precious, you said that you're not sure why Mr. Gatson reached out to his mother when this incident first occurred. Isn't it true that you drove your child, my client, to the drop-off point so that she could go to Mrs. Jones?
I drove my child to Mrs. Destiny Gatson, which stated that she was taking the lead. She was supposed to go with Mrs. Destiny Gatson. Destiny decided that she was not taking the lead
Objection
with her. She was taking her
non-responsive
to
after Destiny Gatson.
Sustained.
And isn't it true, Precious, that the difference between your children before and after your younger ones started going to daycare, didn't they?
my younger kids were already in Head Start.
Right, but they started daycare. The elders used daycare when they got placed with them, correct?
I think that was already in placement with the Joneses. That was already going.
Okay, and do you understand? It's my understanding you've had some parenting classes. Haven't you learned that kids start getting sick at your kids'
We don't
age?
discuss daycare.
Objection, non-responsive. Let me finish my question, Precious. That kids start getting sick around that age when they're put in daycare. Ear infections, fevers. You don't know anything about that in child development?
We don't discuss daycare in parenting.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Burt.
I said that.
Ms. Gatson, you are in agreement that it is in your children's best interest to all be together, correct?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to admonish the parents, the Gatsons, while one of you is on the stand, don't assist or don't even communicate with the other. Are we clear?
Yes.
All right, don't do that again. All right. Any other questions of Ms. Gatson from anyone?
I just have one quick question, Your Honor, if I may.
Right. You may.
Ms. Gatson, who told you that you could not communicate with the elders at all?
Our caseworker.
Your caseworker told you you couldn't communicate with the Gatsons. I mean, the
She told
elders.
us we couldn't communicate with the elders. She said it was part of the plan, our family plan, that we couldn't have any communication.
Okay. That wasn't a condition of your bond, was it?
No, it's been since the kids have been placed with the elders.
Okay. Are there any conditions on your bond?
Not that I'm aware of, besides staying out of trouble.
Okay. And I apologize. I haven't seen the indictment or the bond paperwork, but a lot of times when someone is indicted for a child, there'll be a condition on that bond that they're not to have any contact with the alleged victim in the case. Do you know if that's a condition of your bond?
No.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Agbogbite?
Yeah, just a few questions. So Ms. Holly, I asked you a question, Ms. Garson, regarding, isn't it true that you drove your child to the Jones and then you were trying to clarify? Can you tell the court, like, do you remember that question that you were trying to answer?
Yes, I drove my child to the store that's not far from my house, to Destiny Gatson.
Okay. Did you drive your child to the Jones house?
No.
Who did you give your child to?
Destiny Gatson.
Okay. Regarding sickness and daycare, do you even know where they go to daycare?
I'm aware that it's in Newton.
Okay. And are you aware of other children that go into that daycare getting sick at the rate your children are getting sick?
No, I'm not.
All right. No further questions.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Gatson?
Yes, Your Honor, just to follow up on his question, The end result was for the oldest child to go to Miss Jones when you gave her to Destiny. Is that correct?
No,
So if your testimony is different than what it was at the adversary, which one is true, this one or that one?
Destiny Gatson stated she was going to take Aaliyah home with her because she wasn't even sure if her mother was home.
But eventually you wanted the child with her grandmother, Miss Jones, didn't you?
I wanted the child safe, and I wanted Destiny to be able to talk to Aaliyah. That's what I wanted.
What you wanted was the child out of your home. Is that correct?
No.
Pass the witness.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Gatson? Anyone? All right. Ms. Strongbody, you may call your next, if any.
So, sorry, what was that for me, Yana?
Yes, you may call your next.
I'm terribly sorry. I thought, yeah.
That's-
I'll call Mr. Gasson, Yana.
All right, Mr. Gatson, there we go. You may proceed.
All right. Mr. Gasson, you've heard the testimony provided so far by Ms. Mullins and also by your wife. Is that correct?
Correct.
So as we speak right now, do you have any concern regarding the current placement for any of your children?
Yes, I have all concerns that's dated back to December with the Joneses.
Okay.
I have
Just a minute. Do you have concerns regarding the placement of the 4 children in the elders' home?
no.
Okay. So you said the Jones. Can you tell the court, without narrating, what specific concerns you have regarding placement with the Jones?
The current placement with the Joneses has been a concern since December. And just because it's ruled out, it still concerns with me because my kids told me stuff and are currently telling me stuff that's been taking place, even though they're claiming an investigation is taking place. I was concerned that my kids are sick every week, coming from the Joneses with fevers. My kids have always been in Head Start around other kids, multiple years, from Aaliyah down to Gracie. We've never had kids sick this much. We never had injuries of this magnitude. And the main concern I have is how everything that's been said has been lies, and I haven't had a chance to tell the truth about everything that's been stated.
All right. So regarding the concerns you have you personally called CPS? I mean, have you called to make a report regarding some of those concerns you've had?
Yes, I reached out to the caseworker, Jesslyn, as soon as she was here in May, and the first thing she told me was everything's ruled out.
Okay. But that's to the caseworker, but have you called like the 1-800 number for abuse hotline? Have you done that?
Yes, I have done that.
And then when you did that, was that because you were concerned, or was it because you wanted to abuse the system?
I was concerned every time I called. I never intended to abuse the system, and I never did abuse the system.
Okay. And when you visit your children, you guys interact, right?
Yes, we interact.
All right. From your understanding, do they want to be with the Jones?
No, my understanding, they do not want to be with the Joneses. And I know Miracle does not want to be with the Joneses, no matter what anyone is saying. I have that audio recorded and video recorded.
Okay, just a minute. Don't forget, we're trying to protect your names. This is being protected.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, use the MG, right? You can explain
Yes.
the story, and I just wanted to say that. All right. So have you related this information personally to the caseworker?
Yes.
In what forms? How did you do it?
We have home visits, and I've told her numerous of times. And the last visit, even though the family plan said the kids haven't been to the visit, the kids were at the visit 3 times before we hired attorneys. And the caseworker, Jesslyn, was at that last visit. And she's seen Miracle and Aaliyah, even though they have in the family plan that Aaliyah and Miracle refused to come to visits. She was in the last visit and seen that the kids had a fever before the kids went to the elder's house, because she brought the thermometer to the kids back in December.
Okay. And when we testified earlier, sorry, not me, not we, when your wife testified earlier, and also the questions asked of the caseworker regarding the steadily for MG, swallowing, a coin being swallowed, and your wife also testified about 40 hours. Do you share those same concerns?
Yes, that's very concerning.
Okay, so what, in terms of placement, what are you asking this judge to do for placement today?
I'm asking him to remove the oldest two kids from out of the Joneses' house because I never intended them to be there. Those children were placed in the house in physical allegations, and it was not investigated. My kids were taken directly from me to that house, and no one talked to or questioned my kids. They were placed in the house with allegations.
Okay, and if the judge was to remove the two with the...
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting, but if the children's names aren't going to be controlled and the testimony is going to discuss that type of intimate, I would ask that we go off YouTube.
I'll wait for the judge. You're not wait for you to make it running second.
Right. So the court will take that under advisement. Guard the names. Use only initials.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, I know you talk a little bit fast, and then that may make you kind of, don't forget initials. Sorry, Your Honor, that I have to say that. Okay, now let me destroy my phone. So, if the judge is inclined to play the children with the only two names we have right now, which is the L0ST and the Jones, what is your preference?
My preference is the elders, and only the elders.
Okay. And then we brought up the name Amy Hyson. Right? Who is that person to you?
That's my aunt through marriage.
Okay. And your wife testified that the children have spent some time with Amy Hyson. Have you, is that true?
Yes.
Were you aware or not that in the beginning of the case, whether her name was brought up for possible placement at that time?
Yes, her name was brought up and her name was at the top of the list.
Okay. But you don't know any reason why she's not one of the placement, right?
They never gave us the opportunity to place our kids where we wanted them to be at.
Okay.
They were already displaced with the Joneses.
Okay. So now that you're talking to the judge, it's up to the judge now. Are you asking this judge to at least order CPS to look into the Amy Hyson as a possible placement?
Yes, please.
All right. Any other concerns you have without narrating that that this judge is not aware of? Briefly, if you want to tell the court.
My main concern is getting my kids back on track in a safe environment.
Okay. And then one last question for you, since it came up. You actually sent me your pay stub because I reminded you today around 12 o'clock. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure. Thank you. That's all the question again.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kayla.
The pay stub that you sent your lawyer was not the pay stub that we discussed at the last hearing. Is that correct?
That's incorrect. That is the same pay stub. It has 108 hours. If you look at the very bottom, and if you look at the top where it says pay rate, it's 33.08 or 33.80.
I see the 33.80, but I can't see anything about the number of hours worked because this thing is heavily redacted. It's all redacted. Why is this pay stub redacted?
I told you the hours is at the very bottom. It says 108 hours. If you look at the very bottom.
I'm trying to look at it. It's very, very small.
I'd object to non-responsive. He asked why it was redacted, and that question was not answered.
Can you elaborate on what redactive or redactive, whatever that word is, means?
Well, it appears that either a sticky note or some whiteout or something was used to make it to where we can't see the rate, the number of hours worked, the year-to-date earnings. There is no 108 hours on here. I cannot find it. It's redacted. There's information that you didn't want us to see.
No, the hours rate is on there, 108. That's what you asked for. You asked for the rate of pay, and that's what I send you. And I made it very easy where you can only see those numbers. My employee numbers on there, the payoff rate at the very top. And if you go to the very bottom, the hours that you asked for is on there. 108 at the very bottom on the left-hand side.
No, sir. I don't see it. Why would you redact all the other information from your pay stub as far as like the cost of insurance, whether or not you pay union dues? That stuff is important in calculating child support. Why would you redact that information?
When I talked to you, you said you needed to see the hour that I worked and the pay rate. That's what I sent you.
I'm going to object to non-responsive, Your Honor. Actually, I can rephrase the question.
Right, all right.
You recall at the last hearing where I asked you to send your pay stub to your lawyer so that we would have your pay stub to be able to calculate child support, correct?
I sent you the pay stub. I sent the pay stub to my lawyer.
Do you recall your testimony at the last hearing where you said that you were going to send your pay stub to your lawyer?
I sent my pay stub to my lawyer, and I recall that.
Okay. Why did you wait until today at noon to send it to your lawyer?
My lawyer told me that he wanted me to scan the pay stub in.
Don't tell us what your lawyer told you.
Well, he asked a question. I'm trying to understand exactly how I'm supposed to answer.
Don't argue with me. What you talk to your attorney about is confidential.
You know, I don't mind if I can just maybe help him understand, if you don't mind.
Right. You may.
All right, Mr. Garson, whatever you and I discuss is attorney-client privilege. So nobody on this earth can make you discuss it. So this judge is actually protecting your right. So you can answer that question without telling me what in another way, right? Without discussing, so they don't reveal you are protected. He's trying to protect you. So proceed. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it for any confusion. I was just basically trying to say why I didn't send it over until today. I had to work, and the only day I had off was Monday. And then when I went to the library in Kerberville, it was closed. So that's how I was going to originally send it. And I had to work every other day. This is my time off now because of the court hearing.
All right. All right. Wait for the next question, if any. Go ahead, Mr. Kayla.
Thank you, Your Honor. I can't see it on this pay stub, the number of hours worked. You testified at the last hearing that it was for 108 hours. Is that typical? Is that your typical amount of hours per paycheck?
No.
Okay. What if that's the case, then why did you redact the year-to-date information on the as far as number of hours worked? Why did you redact any of the information on the pay stub?
Okay, again, and I'm not trying to be difficult. You asked for the pay rate and you asked for the total number of hours I worked. That's what I sent you with the pay stub. I didn't know that you needed all my other personal information.
Well, the other personal information, sir, is important in calculating child support. I asked you for your pay rate and the hours you worked so I could do some quick and dirty math while we were during the last hearing because you had failed to produce your pay stub to us or anyone.
All right, Mr. Gatson, do you have the pay stub in the room there with you?
In your pay stub I have has the hours on it. I've done the dirty math, but I have the 108 hours, Your Honor. I just don't have the year to date.
Okay, well, the court has heard some evidence that may not be typical. So, Mr. Gatson, send this to your attorney whenever you're passed as a witness. even if it means taking a picture of it from your phone, sending it to, sharing it with your attorney. We'll take it from there. All right. So let's return to the issue at hand, which is the placement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Why did you have your daughter taken to Miss Jones back in December when all of this started?
Okay, I can tell you, but it's going to be a conversation that Ms. Byford might not want on YouTube Live. Do you want me to go ahead and proceed with why I contacted them and the details?
Mr. Kayla, Mr. Kayla, I don't believe the court needs to hear this. I recall the testimony from the multi-day adversary hearing.
With that, Your Honor, I will pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Sir, other than what your wife testified to today, do you have any other testimony with respect to placement?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear the very end.
Yes, sir. Other than what your wife testified to today, do you have any other testimony with regard to placement, meaning about the topic of where these children go as a collective unit?
My only concern is for them to be safe with the people I put on the list, and just to have them together.
Okay. And that's pretty much what your wife went over, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Byford.
And I'm sorry if you already testified to this, but you said people you put on the list. Did you put Miss Amy on the child resource form?
He had the name that's a little different. It's Annie Isom, ANNIE. She had a background check done. Yes, she was on the list.
Okay, good. That's all I needed to know. I'll pass, and it's HISON.
No, it's ISOM.
M as in
I as in igloo, S as in Sam, O as in octopus, M as in Melissa.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll pass you as a witness.
I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, thank you. And Mr. Gatson, the first name spelling is it A-M-M?
No, A as in apple, N as in needle, N as in needle, I as in igloo, E as in elephant.
All right, Annie Isom.
Yes, correct.
All right, thank you.
It was on the paper that we returned in at the beginning of the year.
All right, caregiver resource form. All right, very good, thank you. Okay, Mr. Byrd, to you.
Mr. Gatson, you've heard testimony that your two oldest daughters have been progressing relatively well with their sessions and the environment they're in. Have you not?
I heard someone state that.
And as a father, you're willing to take them out of the environment that they're progressing in?
Sir, my kids were 8 honor roll students. Before they left my house, they were not getting in trouble. It was just a couple of things that Leah was doing that was very bothering and concerning. So why I reached out to the Joneses from the start, because I can figure out why.
I'm going to object to him talking about my client by name.
I'm sorry about that. Just
the question remains, are you willing to take 2 children out of the environment that they're growing in?
Aaliyah's making failing grades this year. I keep making that mistake.
And there's
I
no
apologize.
basis for those statements whatsoever.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Excuse me?
I withdraw that last question. I have no further.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Agbadi.
Thank you, Yana. Just briefly, so I'll help you out. AG, you said AG is making failing grade this year. Can you tell the court how you knew about that?
We have online things that we can see. And as of this year and last year, she had failing grades. We have record of that.
Okay. So the 4 children living with the elders, are any of them making failing grades?
As far as I'm aware of, no.
Okay. So is that a concern for you that AG is failing this year?
Yes, a major concern.
So is that something you want the judge to consider a part of placement that you guys are requesting?
Yes.
That's all the question I have here.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Mr. Gatson?
Just to clarify one point, Your Honor, if I may.
All right. Mm-hmm.
The failing grades that you're talking about are particular daily grades in certain subjects from time to time, correct?
From my understanding, from the I don't know exactly what the document is, but when progress reports come out of the average grade, and it has been actual individual worksheets or something of that nature.
So when you look at the progress report as a whole, she's on the AB honor roll. You understand that? As a whole, the grade in the progress report, she's got all A's and B's. Do you disagree with that?
No, I do not. I haven't seen the progress report. I just seen averages that's in the online thing. Aaliyah had A's. I'm so sorry. I keep saying her name. AG had A's when she was in my household. Straight A's. She had 1 B, if I'm not mistaken, the entire last average of the last year in my household. So where the progressing part, I'm not understanding, like you said, she's declined in my house. She had straight A's. And she had top reading for 3 years in a row in my house. She's never been under.
And she's still making good grades in school. She's still making A's and B's on her progress report, correct?
You're saying I don't know because I haven't seen that. I can only see what's in the online thing at the average. It says the average, and this has individual grades. It doesn't have the actual progress report. It doesn't have the actual report card. It just says what's the average is when I look at it. Okay. I can't see those things. The address was changed, matter of fact.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Mr. Gatz?
Not from me.
All right, thank you. Ms. Rogbody, you may call your next witness, if any.
Yes, Your Honor. Since I'm not too familiar with everybody, but I don't know if the elders are here or anybody from the elders home.
I believe that's Mr. Elder on the Galaxy Ultra. I believe. Is that you, Mr. Elder?
Yes, sir.
Right.
I'm here.
Thank you. Were you sworn, sir?
No, sir.
All right. If you'll raise your right hand to be sworn, please. Or are you calling? Are you calling Mr. Elder? Mr.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Mr. Elder.
All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God. Yes.
Yes, sir. I do.
All right. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Elder. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I didn't see your name in the screens, so I didn't know that was you. Are you? How many of the children? How many of the Garson's children are placed with you?
I have the 4 youngest children.
Okay. And how long have you had them?
We've had them since February of this year.
All right. And then since February of this year, I mean, when you guys interact, have you been able to form the opinion where they want to be?
Yes, I really don't. To be honest with you, I don't try not to talk to them about anything that's going on, unless it's something that's a prevalent need. But I have spoke with DG has spoken with me out of the blue, telling me that he didn't want to go.
Objection here, say, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay. And no matter, without saying what the children said to you, but have you related any information to the caseworker or to my client about whether or not it would be ideal for the children to be with the Jones?
Yes, I may approximately maybe 3 weeks ago, I sent a text message to the caseworker, Miss Jesselyn, letting her know that DG didn't want to go to his grandparents' house on that particular day.
Okay, so was that for just that particular day? But
Well,
yeah, I'll ask the next question. But based on what you know, DG and the other sibling living with you, are you of the opinion that they would prefer to be with the Jones as opposed to with you?
oh no, I believe they would prefer to be with me and my wife.
Okay. And is your house able to continue to accommodate all 4 children the way you have them right now?
Yes.
Is your house able to accommodate 2 other children, the 2 that are with the Jones, should the court consider placing them with you?
Objection,
Yes.
Your Honor. I don't believe that that's on the table unless I'm mistaken.
It,
Yeah, no,
it's not sustained.
okay. And in that case, that's all the question I have here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kayla.
No questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Mr. Elder, do you believe all the children should be together?
Yes, sir. I do.
Thank you, past witness. Thank you, Mr. Elder.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitewood.
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hollier. Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Burt.
Your Honor, I'd just like to make a quick statement to Mr. Elder, a clarification of some of the questions I asked earlier concerning the state not being able to technically agree with placement. The state has nothing against you. We know anything that came up was a long time ago. Thank you for doing what you've done thus far.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. I thank you with that. Appreciate that very much.
That's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Ogbadi.
Yes, Your Honor, just kind of a clarification on this statement, because I knew she objected, so it wasn't on the table. I believe it was, because from your last hearing, you have said regarding the issue of child support, like there will be a question mark on that issue. So I don't think the issue was whether it was only for the Jones, in which case it won't be a question mark. I'm not trying to mislead the judge, but I try to remember what was the last time. So I think the question before you last time was whether all the children would be together, but I don't think there was an issue. It wasn't only like we would consider them for the Jones. I think it was vice versa. It's only today that testimony came up that the older 2 don't want to go to the elders. So, but I still think that's an issue before you. I mean, I'm not trying to argue, but just want to understand.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. So because I stopped asking questions because of what you said, because I still think it's relevant for the record if the issue were not narrowed to just the Jones, but I think the issue were both of them, so I can finish my questions.
Let's see where we go.
Okay. So how often do they go, the children with you, Mr. Elders, how often do they see the Jones?
Children, the way it was set up, they go with the Jones every other weekend and every other Thursday. So the Jones have them approximately 6 days out of the month.
Okay. Is that the way it still is now, or is that the way it's always been?
No, sir, that's not the way it's always been.
What was it before?
When we first got them, the way we were doing it was every other Thursday, and we would pick them up from daycare. Well, and they would also, the Jones would get them from daycare on Friday, and we would pick them back up from daycare on Monday. Well, like I said, there was an instance that happened with the court, like I said, when I was on the stand the last time. And after that, Miss Jones asked if we could pick the kids up on Sunday afternoon at 5.
Okay, so it changed at some point, okay, by court order. And when even now, when they go to the Jones, any hesitation, whether, I mean, do you have any opinion whether or not they want to continue to have that visit?
Yeah, I believe they want to still have the girls. MG most definitely does. Like I said, they want to see their siblings.
Okay.
They want to see their siblings. Yeah.
And then when they come from the Jones back to your house, the 4, do you observe any desire, like something like they want to continue visitation with the Jones, or any desire that they want to be together? I think I lost him.
All right, I believe Mr. Elder, are you there? All right, so we'll move on, and then we will certainly allow you to come back to him. So if you don't have any other witnesses, then let me see, Mr. Kayla, you may call your first, if any.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'd call Faith North.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Ms. North, you were sworn in, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Ms. North, what's your relationship to this case?
I'm the CASA advocate.
And in that position as the CASA advocate, how much contact do you have with these children?
I see them once a month.
And how long have you been the CASA advocate for this case?
The end of February, but truly starting March.
Okay. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 8 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And over the past 8 months, have you been able to observe the children, specifically the youngest 4, the younger 4 children, their behaviors and their relationships with the Joneses?
Yes, sir.
And what have you observed?
So when I visit, some of my visits that I've gone to the Joneses house, the younger 4 has also been there. They are playing with their siblings, with their cousins, with the grandparents. Food is exchanged. The kids are running in and out. You can tell they're enjoying themselves. They're playing on all the toys that the Joneses have at their house as well.
Is the Jones home appropriate for 6 children?
So I haven't seen all the rooms, so I apologize. I don't feel like I could answer that appropriately right now.
Do the children appear to be very close?
Yes, sir.
The 4 younger children are very close to the 2 older children.
Yes, sir.
And the 2 older children are obviously close to the younger children.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it would be beneficial for all of the children involved if they were all in the same household?
I do, absolutely. You would always want to keep children together to have that bond.
And do you think that it would be in the children's best interest for that household to be the Joneses?
I think it's still all we're still going through this investigation, and I can't make that determination because I know that there's still stuff that needs to be done and everything, but I know that at the Joneses house, there's lots of love being shown, lots of laughter. The kids are enjoying themselves with the other children, with the elders. I have witnessed that myself.
Any concerns that you have about the Joneses or their home?
No, sir.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Ma'am, what investigation are you referencing?
The investigation the reason why we're all here today.
Oh, okay. The initial complaint.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was under the impression there was something new. Okay. I pass the witness. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Would somebody know if Mr. Elder is on 427, last three, 427? All right, I'm going to leave that device in the waiting room until
Yes, sir. I do have Mr. Elder's number and the ending 427. That is a number that I have one for
Right.
him.
Right, Ms. North, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I will. I'm going to bring Mr. Elder back in the courtroom. Mr. Elder, I'm going to place you on mute, and we'll come back to your testimony as soon as we have concluded with Ms. North's testimony. So, all right, thank you, Ms. Bythewood.
No questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hoyer.
I don't have any questions. Just witness.
Thank you, Mr. Burt.
Yes, Ms. North, the oldest two children, how long did you say you've been on the case?
Since March. I'll say since March.
Okay, have you seen growth in the two oldest children?
Yes, sir.
Psychological growth?
I have, from the beginning, they were very quiet, and now they're more talkative. They're having conversations, not only with myself, but just with everyone. When I say everyone, I mean, in the house, I can see everyone talking, laughing, playing. At first, it was very, the two elder were very quiet, somber, in their, when I first met them.
Would you say they've come out of their shell since the initial placement?
Yes, sir.
Would it be detrimental in your eyes if they were removed from that placement? Would it set them back? They seem to be in a nurturing environment. Would it be detrimental to those two?
They are in a nurturing environment. I feel what I've seen. So yes, sir.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Agbaidi.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Ms. Nutt, thanks again. Slightly, we're asked if you have any concerns regarding the Jones home. Do you have any concerns with the elders?
With the elders, I had addressed those. I think from the beginning, they had asked about financial assistance, and I know that it's being dragged. I'll say that. And so as a parent, if my child is in need of something, I would definitely want to give it to them and not drag it out. And especially if the elders have expressed the needs of these children and what is needed, and it's being dragged out, I find that as a parent, and not giving to my child would be very hard, especially since I love my children, right? With the elders, and then I did express, which we've already gone over, just making sure that social media is not being addressed for these children in a manner.
Okay. So just specifics, I'm trying to understand because it was a little bit abstract. We said something being dragged out. Are you saying when the children ask them for something, it takes them a while to give it to the children? I just want to make sure I understand what you mean by dragged out.
Sure. So the elders have asked me several times about financial support, and I had expressed this question several times, and now that it's been addressed, right, and we have talked about this now several times in court, and the parents are being, I feel, reluctant of giving this information. You want to give to your child. As a parent, I want to give to my child, and if the elders are asking for some financial assistance and they're not getting it, are they truly providing for the children?
Okay, I got it. Thank you. But in terms of the love, you said when they ask you about the Johnson, you said if you witness a lot of love. Have you not witnessed love with the elders and the children?
I have seen Mr. Elder play with the younger, and I have seen Mrs. Elder held Gracie, and especially they've both shown love to the children. Absolutely.
Okay. And you said, I mean, I think they said they've been placed with them since February, and you've been on this case since the end of February, but officially March, right? About the
Correct.
same time that they've been with the children. So have you, other than the financial support, so let me just clarify. So the elders has kind of asking for something similar to like what? Official child support being ordered, something that like monthly guaranteed to come from the court, right? Just like
That, and then the other.
What's the order one?
The other. So the other thing was making sure that you're keeping the children safe and not posting them on social media.
Okay.
That was my two concerns.
Okay. And that can be addressed by court ruling, injunctions, and all that. But child support, I mean, every parent in Texas has for child support, even bad child support, right? But judges don't say, oh, because you asked for it, I don't think you're a fit parent, right?
I'm sorry, what was
I'm
the
just
question?
saying, when a parent asks for support, that doesn't make them unfit at all. Does
When
it?
the parent, so the placement is asking for support. And
Okay. But does that make a placement or a parent, anybody asking for support to be ordered, that should have been ordered, right? Is that something to be frowned upon because they're asking for it?
I'm not understanding your question. What is supposed to be frowned upon?
That the fact that they ask for support to be ordered.
That they've asked for support?
Yes.
That is supposed to be frowned upon? You're asking me if the elders are capable, and these were the issues that they brought up, was financial, and the other was media.
Okay. No. And that's it for that. But let me move on. In terms of placement of these 4 children, since you have interacted with them, where do you think they want to be?
They want to be with their siblings. They want to be together. Do I think they love their parents? Absolutely. I've seen them interact and with their parents. I think that that's why we're here, to make sure that things are followed appropriately and there's accountability.
All right. Just a few more questions and then I'll move on. The social media thing that you expressed with the elders, when did you bring that up? When did you tell them
That
about
was in court. We discussed that a while back, and we all had to sign a document in regards to that.
And then since then, have you have any other issues?
Not with that, because it was addressed.
Okay. So, all right, that's good. That's all the question I have,
All right, thank you, Mr. Caleb. Back to you.
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. North?
I had one.
All right.
It hit me. Miss North, last time we were in court, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you testify that the elders had asked for the children to be moved or something of that nature?
That the elders had asked the children the younger 4 to be moved?
Yes, ma'am. And if you didn't, that's okay. Something clicked while you were testifying a moment ago.
I don't think the elders have ever asked for the children to be moved.
Okay. Then I have no further questions. Thank you for clarifying that in my head.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. North? All right, Ms. North, if you'll unmute, I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
For you. Now, were the 4 youngest moved today? Would there be a change in their daycare, in their schools, in their churches?
In their daycare, I mean, they would still go to daycare as far as, I mean, I'm assuming everything.
If the 4 were placed with the Joneses, would their daycares change that they're attending?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of.
What about their school?
No, sir.
What about their church? If at all.
I don't know if I've never heard them. I know that the elders go to church. I'm assuming they take them, but then every other weekend they're with the Joneses and they go to church with the Joneses as well. So I'm not seeing that that would be an issue.
All right. Let me ask you as holiday guardian ad litem, what is your recommendation today and the basis for it in terms of placing the youngest four with the oldest two at the Joneses?
What's my recommendation?
What is your recommendation in that regard and its basis or bases?
I think that all children together would strive to be in one household. What I have seen, even at the Joneses, when they're all together, I've seen a very loving home, appropriate home. The only concern, and I just am unaware, is if there's room at the Joneses home. I did not look at the room, so my apologies. But as long as there is the room for them, I don't see any issue of why the four children and all children should not be together at the Joneses.
You had mentioned having noticed that the children's love for their parents. Do you believe that if I were to place the four youngest with the Joneses, would the Joneses continue to foster the love that the youngest four have for their parents?
I have talked with Mrs. Jones about that because as a parent and as her as a parent, loving her kids, loving her son, no matter what this is going through. And like she has told me, she loves her son no matter what.
What is your belief in that regard?
I would like to believe from what her and I have spoke about that she would allow, that she would foster these kids to still love their parents because those are your parents for life, no matter what happens. And children grow up and they make decisions. So yes, that would still, I believe that she would still allow these kids to love and whatever way that this court deems things to be, that she would honor that. And I don't think, I've never heard her say anything to these children in a negative way about the parents.
Now, in your view, if I do not move the four youngest to the Joneses, should the court increase the visits with the Joneses overnights, weekends? Should the visits be increased, decreased, or left as is?
I would like to see it where it's, and I've expressed this to her, once a month for a weekend, because I do want the kids, because of all the back and forth where there was a lot of calls and into police, I wanted to see something because.
Has that subsided?
Yes, I've seen some subsiding, but I wanted to see even if the elders, the kids went back to the elders like that Sunday night. Were they taking the kids to the emergency room? Were they giving Mrs. Jones the medication that, whatever the situation was, if it was ointment or whatever? I wasn't hearing that either. And so I wasn't sure. I did want to see, let me don't know. It's a hard situation because these kids love each other. It's very prevalent.
All right, let's see if anyone else has any questions of Ms. North.
Yeah, no, in light of your question, if I can just get some clarification, if you don't mind.
You may.
All right. Ms. North, basically, right now, if the judge doesn't think, sorry, let me ask, what is the visitation, the children with the elders, what is the frequency of the monthly visitation they have with the Jones, to the best of your knowledge that you know?
We spoke about that today, and it was 6 days per month that they got with the Joneses.
Okay. Do you know the breakdown? Is it like every other weekend, or?
They said it was, we spoke about it on here. They said it's every other Thursday, and then every other Thursday. I wrote down every 6 days per month.
Okay, I got it. I think he was testifying to what they were doing before, but I'll call him back. He's here, but that's okay. But the judge, I just want to clarify your opinion as to what the judge was asking. Right now, right, the visitation, the judge leaves the children where they are. Do you believe increasing the visitation with the Jones would be in their best interest?
Oh, the kids love to be with each other, and that's where I stopped at the end of this conversation with the judge, was the kids love each other and they love to be around each other, and I'd hate to break that up. So whatever the judge decides, I'm gonna stick with, because I mean, these kids love each other, and they're in, it's very prevalent when you're around them. If you've been around them, you would notice. I mean, they do love each other.
Okay. All right. And but right now, I mean, they already broken up, right? Since February, since you've been on the case, they're living separately. I mean, we're trying to move on. And then when the judge asked you earlier regarding if there would be a change of daycare, you say you didn't know. So just to clarify, how far apart do the elders and the Jones reside based on your understanding?
So they're about, I think, 20, 25 miles away from each other. However, the daycare is closer to the Joneses.
Okay, so that same daycare that the children in the elders' home are currently in is actually closer to the Jones, right? That's what you're telling the court. Okay, that explains. And then what about the school? Those that are going to school, how far apart is the school?
The Jones are closer to the school than the elders.
Okay, so more than likely in your testimony, the school and the daycare may not change.
Correct, because it's closer. It's closer to the Joneses.
And then as for the religious part, you don't know whether they go to the same church or different churches.
Well, both placements are pastors, and so especially since both they'll have them on the weekend as well. They both go to the churches wherever their placement is at, so it would still be very familiar to the children because they're both aware of where they go.
Okay.
Of the environment.
All right. I'm gonna let it go. But one last question. But based on you interacting with these 4 children, do you have any indication that they want to be moved from where they are right now, the one with the elders?
No.
Okay. That's all I have here.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. North? All right, thank you. Let's return to Mr. Elder's testimony. Mr. Elder, we seem to have you on the phone, so you may need to press *6 on your phone to unmute your device, please, sir. Mr. Elder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Elder, is that you?
Yes, sir, it is. I apologize. My
not at all.
cell phone went dead. I apologize.
Not at all. We can all relate to that. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Body, you may continue.
All right, Mr. Eder, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, still me, Daniel, the one that was talking to you earlier, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I kind of from lost, but I'm gonna ask just the last question, the question that I asked of Miss North. Do you believe it would be in the best interest of these 4 children living with you to be moved from you to the Jones?
No, sir.
That's all the question I have here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kayla.
I've got no questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Bythewood?
No questions.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Hall, you?
I don't have any questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burt?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Okay, no other witnesses, Mr. Ogbadi, is that correct? You're muted.
I'm sorry, I think I was acting crazy right there. Mr. Joe Glenn Collar, I think the people with him are the Jones, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Since they are a party to the suit, I wasn't aware.
As far as I can tell, yes.
All right. If I can just briefly call them.
All right, and let me make sure, Ms. Jones, were you sworn in? Mr. and Mrs. Jones, were you all sworn in?
I was.
I wasn't. I didn't raise my hand.
No.
All right,
Paul
so
was not.
Paul was not sworn in.
let me swear in, Mr. Jones, if you'll raise your right hand, and then Mr. Ogbidi, you can call whomever you want in whatever order you want. All right, sir, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Ms. Jones, Madam, I'll call Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, how are you today?
I'm fine.
All right. I believe there were questions we asked regarding the house, but I believe you are the best person to answer the question. How many bedrooms do you have available in your house for these children?
We have 3 bedrooms.
Okay. And how many people currently reside with you?
My husband and I. And at times, my stepdaughter will come on the weekends.
So that will be, right now it's 4, but some weekends will be 5. Right?
No.
Right
now, you're talking about right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it would be 5, yes, when she's there.
Yes, okay. I'm glad. Sorry, I probably asked it wrongly. How often do you visit, or do the children who reside with the elders, how often do they visit with you right now?
The youngest 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Every week, 1 week, like they said, it alternates. Like this is our weekend. Next week it'll be Thursday, weekend Thursday, it alternates.
Okay, so is it Thursday to Monday or Thursday to Sunday?
The court order was Friday through Sunday.
Okay, and then Thursday is not overnight?
And the Thursday is the overnight.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, cool. Do you believe it would be in the best interest of the children, the 2 children with you, to be placed with the elders?
No.
Do you believe it would be in the best interest of the children living with the elders to be placed with you?
Correct.
But do you also believe that there may be overcrowding based on the number of space you have available?
No.
Okay. Are there anything that the children living with you right now need that you are not able to provide?
Is there anything that they need?
Yeah, financially, emotionally, health-wise, like clothes.
Oh, they always need more, but we provide everything that they need at this time. So we've done that and we're doing that. Is that what you're asking?
Okay. And you heard testimony about coin being sold, ratchets. I mean, sorry, I didn't say it was ratchets, but it's right. Some lips and all that, but are you, I mean, do you disagree that these things never happen?
Of the coin, that situation, I dropped the kids off it was a couple, I don't remember how many weeks ago. And then Mr. Elder called me back when I dropped them off. They were fine, no issues, other than the fact of us having a hard time making them go with him. Other than that, health-wise, they were fine. He called me, I was almost home, and said that Mariana said that she's coin.
MG.
Let's use the initials, please.
MG.
I'm sorry, MG youngest. He said that she has a coin. So I asked them I told him, I said, well, she was fine when I left, but I'll come back. So I went back to them at the drop off. And when I got there, I questioned her about it because she was fine when I left her. And so she did corn because she was fine. She wasn't choking. She wasn't foaming, and I'm a nurse, so I would recognize these things. She wasn't having difficulty swallowing or breathing. But and we both discussed that, we both agreed, he said at that time, that it was just her because she didn't want to go. And that was why she was crying when I left. And so when I told her, don't tell stories, it's any coin, she did not. And so that was why I guess we didn't make a big deal of it, and I didn't turn it in because she was okay.
Okay. And do you believe a coin was?
No, she said it after we talked. Well, he let me talk to her. And so and she said no, she just didn't want to go.
Okay. And are you aware that EG had to go to the, I don't know, like not admitted in the hospital, but like to the emergency room after visiting to your house? Can you elaborate on what happened?
Yes, on several occasions, a lot, I text the elders because the kids came to us sick. And so I would text them about it. They would not respond. I tried talking to them about it. They just say, okay, at the drop off. So I communicated, but that's some of the issue that they won't communicate back. I do provide medication when they're with me. I do breathing treatments, but they come to me sick.
All right. And I'm almost there. So what if also sticking on EG, okay? There was testimony that one time she had a eye and 20 eye. Are you aware of any of those being a concern of the parent?
As far as the eye, we took pictures and there was nothing when she was with us. The only thing that happened were the with us, and just like any kid, they're outside playing, and she did get bit, but it didn't result in a hospital stay or anything of that nature. But she did get into some ants when they were playing.
Okay, and just a minute. The judge asked, I mean, maybe he will ask you again, asked me the CASA, sorry, I don't see her name. Sorry, I'm trying to look for her. Asked the CASA lady, trying to use the correct name. Okay, I don't see it. Regarding fostering relationship, right? If this judge were to place all 6 children with you, how are you going to foster a relationship between them, meaning maintain it, between them and their parent?
The same way that I do now with the oldest MG and AG. We pray for them every day because that's something that they like to do. We talk about them and I let them talk about them freely. I don't say anything negative, neither my husband or I, we don't say anything negative about them because we still love them regardless of what's going on. So they're free. We're going to continue to do anything we did before as far as them. Okay. Loving their parents. I would never speak against that.
Okay. But the 2 children that you have right now, do they have visitation with mom and dad?
They chose not to.
Okay. I'm just concerned, right? What roles, if any, in terms of being a minister and all that, trying to help to make sure that they try to establish relationship with their parents? What have you done?
Rules.
How do you encourage it?
I encourage it, first of all, with them getting better, because they're working on them. And I'm just like everyone else, I will honor whatever happens in this situation, but right now, my primary concern was them. But when they talk about their parents, they never talk about going home. So I just go as they express their feelings and wherever they're at that moment, whether it's just talking about what they used to do, which is mostly what they talk about. So I foster them where they are in that moment. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, and then one last question, okay? But so right now, these 4 children are having a relationship with their parent, right? Visitation. If they came, so if the judge placed them with you, is there a way you can guarantee that they don't become like the other 2 living with you, saying they don't want to go, or they don't want to see them?
Before they went to the elders, that was already established, and I took them back and forth, and there was not an issue with the youngest 4, with me taking them or whatever. So I would never hinder that.
Okay, that's all the question I have here now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kayla.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Jones, is there ample room in your home for all of these children?
Yes,
Will they all have beds to sleep in?
yes,
Is there enough room in your home to where there's not going to be any type of overcrowding issue?
there's no issue. And we even have an extra room that we don't use if we had to, but there's no issue.
Okay. When the kids come for the weekend, when the younger 4 come and stay for the weekend, it's everybody's comfortable.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as being able to get these kids to their doctor's appointments and daycare, well, let me slow down. Doctor's appointments, you would be able to do that.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
The daycare that they currently go to is the daycare that was originally that you originally put them in when you had all 6 of the children, correct?
Yes, correct.
So as far as the daycare and the school and the church, that will all stay the same?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that the younger 4 children want to come live with you and their siblings?
Yes, I do.
What types of behavior have you witnessed that would lead you to believe that?
When we take them back, it's hard. They don't want to go. I have to physically put them in the vehicle and walk away.
Let's slow down. When you say they don't want to go, what specific behavioral behaviors do you observe that makes you believe that they don't want to go?
Gripping me and me having to pry them off. Making Junior go and get in, like literally push him and go ahead. Ella crying.
Let's use their initials.
I'm sorry, EG crying.
Do you feel like that's hard on the kids?
Yes, I do.
Do you think it would be in their best interest to be together all the time?
Yes, I do.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
These physical manifestations that you just described, how long have they been occurring? The tugging, the crying, the things of that nature?
It started off that way, and then around June or July, I'm not sure on the dates. That's when the sister started bringing her kids to try to alleviate some of that. And then it started right back up not long after. I would say it was okay I would give it a month at the most, and then now it's back to the same thing.
How long is this latest?
It's October now, so I would say it started at the end of August, beginning of September.
So we discussed this a little bit in the earlier hearing, the one last week, or week before last rather. The presence of other children seemed to alleviate the anxiety, correct?
Yes.
Okay, as the witness. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bythewood.
Regarding the children's desire to visit with their parents, would it help if the parents actually took some responsibility for their bad behavior?
Yes.
Is that something that you want them to hear, that these children want them to admit or take some responsibility for the harm that was caused to them?
Yes.
Okay. Or at least acknowledge that it existed.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hollier.
I don't have any questions for Ms. Jones.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burt.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Bidey.
Just one, Your Honor, that I forgot to ask. Miss Jones, the court had asked the CASA, I think, oh, that's Miss Nutt. She was there all along, sorry, Miss Nutt, whether if the judge keeps the children where they are, like, you know, everybody stays where they are, do you believe he will help if the frequency of the visitation with you increase? Do you believe it would be in the best interest of the children or not?
That's a two-part question. Because when they do come, just like the coin situation, I wasn't even aware that they turned in. That's a concern because if the adults have issues, it's going to overflow into the children. So increased visits mean increased turning in. So that's my concern as far as that. The siblings love being with each other. So the more they see each other, the better as far as the siblings are concerned.
Just one follow-up. So just want to kind of clarify. So you believe the visitation among the siblings will help them, but you just concerned with the noise that comes with that.
The visitations will help them, but to be together to live would be better.
Okay, that's all. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all my question I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kayla, back to you.
Yes, sir. Just to clarify one thing, Ms. Jones, the problem with the more frequent visits is that every single time the kids come to visit you, somebody calls CPS and there's an intake and there's an investigation and it's ruled out. That has continued, and that has continued throughout this entire case as recently as the last time y'all had the children, weekend before last.
Yes.
Every single time. CPS is called and the report's made and an allegation's made against either you or your husband.
Yes.
Every single time.
Yes.
And you believe, and every single one of those has been ruled out.
Yes.
So your reluctancy to, if the children stay where they are, your reluctancy to have in more visitation, it is, could actually be detrimental because every single time y'all get to visit with these kids, the department is called and y'all are accused of.
Yes, because I'm a nurse. I can't afford to keep being in danger of that. And he works for the state. So that's why we can't provide if this affects our livelihood.
Do you feel like if the children are reunited and all placed in your home, that hopefully the almost weekly reports would subside?
Hopefully.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones?
Your Honor, I just have one.
All right.
Ms. Jones, it's not just reports to CPS. There's also welfare calls that are called in on you?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so where the police come to your house on the weekends and late at night to make sure everything's okay?
Yes, they've had to wake the kids up in the middle of the night. We've had to let them walk through the whole house. Yes.
And has this happened numerous times?
Yes.
And is this disruptive to the children who are currently living with you?
Yes, especially the AG at first because she was already fearful. So we would have a hard time getting them to go back to sleep.
Do you feel terrorized in your own home?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones? Ms. Jones, describe your support system for me.
I have church members as far as people that will help us. Is that what you're asking? I mean,
Right. That's important.
yes, I have church members that have been approved. I have sisters. I have a large group of people that help us or will help us if we need them.
What about Destiny?
Yes, my daughter as well.
Okay. And tell me, have you, assuming you all have thought about this, talked about it, you and Mr. Jones, how do you envision arranging the home, the room situation, and the like to accommodate all 6 of the children? I guess like you do it on the weekends. Let me know how that is for starters.
Actually, like Aaliyah, she likes to stay with
Initials.
Again,
I'm sorry. AG. She likes to spend a lot of time with Destiny. Destiny has a 2-bedroom home. So she likes to spend a lot of time over there. So sometimes she'll go over there. And then when they come over for the weekend, the youngest MG, she likes to spend a lot of time with Destiny. But if we also have two living rooms, 1 living room we don't even use. So if that's an issue, we could turn that into a bedroom, and it's a fairly large size. We don't even use that room. So if that's an issue, we have 2 living rooms, the 3 bedrooms. We would make accommodations if we had to. Is that what he's asking?
I think he wants to know what do y'all do now when
What do we do now?
when all 6 kids are there? Where's
Okay.
everybody sleep?
Okay. Well, the 1 bedroom has the bunk beds, it has, and then DG has his own bed, and then the other bedroom has a queen size in there, so 2 of the girls sleep in there.
Right. And do you know whether you have an approved home study through CPS or the network as to all 6 children,
Yes, they did. They approved it.
or for all 6 of the children?
Yes, they were there at that time when they approved it.
Right. And would that have been of the same structure, physical home in which you all reside now?
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones? All right. Mr. Ogbadi, you may call your next. I believe you called Ms. Jones. Is that correct? And you're muted.
I'm sorry, I did it again. You know, I did call Ms. Jones, but that's all my witness. That's all that I have. No more witnesses.
All right. So no. All right. Thank you. No other questions of Ms. Jones from anyone? All right. Mr. Kayla, do you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Crocker?
No, Your Honor.
Right. Thank you. Ms. Bythewood?
I'd like to call Tammy Brister.
All right. Ms. Brister, you were sworn, yes, weren't you? Yes.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. You may proceed.
Ms. Brister, will you please state your name and your relationship to the case?
Tammy Brister, and I'm the case manager supervisor.
And as the case manager supervisor, are you familiar with all the details of this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And when there's a decision made in this case, is it staffed with you and you assist in that decision?
Correct.
And are you aware that there is an approved home study on the grandparents, but the other placement's a court-ordered placement.
Correct.
Can the network approve that placement?
No, we can.
But are there any
Which placement?
I apologize. The current placement of the 4 youngest.
No, at this time we cannot.
Okay, the elder home.
Correct.
Are there any concerns with that home though?
There's not necessarily any concerns with the home. They've done what they could to keep, to ensure that the children's needs are met. We do feel that it would be in the best interest for all the children to be placed together. That's our primary goal. We do believe that, they were placed with Miss Jones at the beginning of the case. We do believe that she did a good job in making sure that their needs are met. So we want all the children to be placed together.
When you're saying all placed together, where is the network asking the court to place the children?
To Miss Jones's residence.
Okay, and that was the initial placement and where y'all have always wanted the children placed. Is that correct?
Correct.
And were you in court about a month and a half ago when I specifically asked for a pay stub from the father so that we could determine what child support was?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, was that received prior to today?
No, I had not. Myself and my case manager had not received a pay stub until right before this court hearing.
Right. And did we ask for an entire pay stub, not just hours, we need the entire thing. Is that correct?
That's correct. And he's asked for it at every home visit by the case manager according to documentation.
And in fact, that was court ordered a month and a half ago. Is that correct?
Correct.
Even though he's shaking his head, no, it was said, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, are you concerned about their ability to follow simple instructions?
I'm going to object to relevance. At this point, I believe you already addressed the pay stub issue, and also this is for placement, not a pay stub.
We don't have the child support information because we hadn't received the unredacted record that was court ordered almost 2 months ago.
Overruled.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Amy, what was your question?
Does it concern you that they can't follow simple instructions that are court ordered?
That's correct. And it's on the family plan of service.
I was going to object to mischaracterizations as to they. This was one person that was court ordered.
Okay, him.
Yes, it's concerning.
All right. A lot of questions. I'm not going to ask them. I'm going to pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hollier. Any questions of Ms. Brister?
I don't have any questions, Ms. Brister.
Right, thank you. Mr. Burt?
No questions, Your Honor. She answered them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ogbadi?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly. I mean, Ms. Brister, I understand the department have issues approval with the orders, but the judge ordered it anyway. Since it was ordered specifically, what concerns do you have with the children staying where they are with the elders right now?
My only concerns is what's happening at the exchange of the children, their behaviors, not wanting to leave, and having all the children placed together. That should be the primary goal, is to have all these siblings placed together. They need that sibling, their siblings. They need to have that time. This is a rough situation for all the children, and I do believe them all being placed together would benefit every one of these children.
Okay. But appreciate your answer, but just the question is with the elders. What concerns do you have with the placement with the elders? Any?
My concern is the children's behaviors when they go back to the elders. That's the only concern that I have.
Okay. Children's behavior, but the elders themselves, do you have any concerns regarding them?
I do not have any concerns with them at this point.
That's all the question I have, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kayla, any questions of Ms. Brister?
2 questions, Your Honor. You feel like Tammy, you feel like it would be in the children's best interest to be together, correct?
That's correct.
And the only place that the department can support the children being together is with the Joneses.
That's correct.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone from Ms. Whisper? Mr. Crocker? No questions, Mr. Crocker. All right.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, any other witnesses, Ms. Bythewood?
No, Your Honor. If it's permissible, I rest.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hoyer?
I have no witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point, the court will entertain brief closing arguments. Mr. Burt, you may begin or defer.
Your Honor, I'm going to stick with what I started with. In the beginning, I didn't have any discussions with the caseworker or the case manager prior to the hearing. But upon hearing the testimony here today, I feel it is in the children's best interest, especially since the oldest two children have grown and come out of their shell. I think it would further grow those two children to have their siblings with them in Miss Jones's residence. And I believe testimony supports that. And that's what the state would ask for today, along with whatever child support it is, it's calculated, because I still don't have a copy of any of the information. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Burt, thank you. Mr. Ogbide?
Thank you, Your Honor. I thank you for giving us this time. I believe you have actually accommodated us more than you said, right? But that said, I am we are at your mercy at this point because the children are in the system. But I do believe that parents' ability to take care of their children is fundamental to the entire existence of humanity. That's why God gave it to them. Why the state may have taken over, but I still think the input of the parent is still paramount to where we are. One, their parental right has not been terminated, and they are working services, and I believe their input or their requirements should be taken into account. There is no, they don't trust the Jones. That's okay. I don't know why, but they don't trust the Jones. I think their request to either consider someone new, why that may not have been before you today, I still think you can order his son to be considered, even if you don't make that decision today, but order the department to look into for the future. And also, I still think you should consider either placing all the children with the elders. There's no testimony that the elders have hurt them in any way or that it would damage them other than they don't want to go, right? That's just it. There's no testimony that, to the contrary, this testimony supports the 4 children staying with the elders because that's what the elder says. They're the closest to these four children. So far, since since February, there's been no issue. So taking the testimony of the children and the desire of the parents and the testimony offered by the elders, either you leave them, do what the parent want. Consider the parent request of leaving them where they are, or placing the other 2 with the others, and also ordering for his sum to be her sum to be looked into. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Ogbide, thank you. Mr. Kayla?
Your Honor, we believe that it would be in the children's best interest. It would be, it would not only be in the children's best interest, but also beneficial for these children to be reunited and placed in the Joneses' home.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kayla. Mr. Crocker.
Your Honor, I didn't hear any testimony today that indicated that anybody involved thought the children should be separated. So obviously there is a potential solution at hand. It's either the elders or the Joneses. We have a approved home study for one, not for the other. I understand it was from some incident from way back, no fault of maybe Mrs. Elder. I don't even know what that's about, but there's statutorily or maybe perhaps policy prevents them from the consideration. We do know this. Since the Jones have been involved, that there has been constant and frequent calls to CPS, so much so that the department has to go above and beyond and assign special investigators to investigate each and every claim. I think we can all read between the lines and indicate that that's a way to attempt to get the attention of the department to steer it away from the parents onto the Jones and say, this is where the elders belong. There's been no calls against the elders. I think that honestly shows bad faith, Your Honor. To come to court, say his child on a coin, and to have testimony to say, yeah, it was just a child not wanting to go. There was no coin being on. It's just further indication that we've got parties involved here that clearly don't get along, but nonetheless are going to have to get along for the sake of the children. I believe at this point in time, considering the late stance of the case, the children should be placed where they may potentially be for a longer time than just the duration of the case. And that's with the Jones, and they have pleadings on file. Thank you.
Mr. Crocker, thank you. Ms. Bytewood?
The children were initially placed with the elders out of consideration for the parents. The parents wanted an alternate placement, and that happened. I can tell you that I heard from my client about that. She was very unhappy about her siblings being moved. She was very unhappy about not living with her siblings. Her safe place is with her grandparents. The idea of moving her from her grandmother's home is inconceivable. She is opened up about in her parents' home. She is opened up about, and the word that keeps coming to my mind throughout this entire hearing is gaslight. And these children have been gaslit over and over and over, and it's just sickening. At this time, what's in their best interest is to be together. My client wants to be with her siblings. I wish to God these parents could take some form of responsibility so that they could move on to become parents of these children. In the calculations of child support, dad's net pay is $7,040.62 a month. 40% of that is $2,816.25 a month. And I believe that he should be ordered to pay child support in accordance with the guidelines. This has been asked about for months and months and months. He's been ordered to provide his pay stub. This court has ordered him in person to do that, and we still don't have it. But based on what he provided today, that's the calculations that I came up with. And thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
All right, Ms. Bythewood, if you will give me that number again, the 40%.
$2,816.25.
Okay, actually, I did get it. All right, thank you, Ms. Hoyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe we all can agree globally, and what the testimony has shown is that everyone, all parties, everyone that's testified believes that these children should be together. I've personally been to the Joneses' home. I've been to the elders' home. The comparison and the size, there makes no common sense to argue that the Jones don't have the space for these 6 children. They absolutely have the space. This is their grandmother, whom has family in and out that these kids are so very bonded to. And I've observed that with my own eyes. I think that the global theme, and everybody can agree, these kids should be placed together. It's not lost on anybody, even the parents, in their testimony. And that's what I think the court should do today.
All right, Ms. Hollier, thank you. Mr. Burt, anything further?
I need to make sure that Ms. Brister has that number, or whatever number the court settles on as far as child support.
All right. Okay.
Judge, if you can repeat it, 2,800 what?
16 and 25 cents.
Okay, I got it.
6 children, 40%. Is that right, Ms. Bythewood?
Yes, Your Honor. It's also taking in consideration 28.98 hours of overtime at $50.70 an hour and 80 hours, regular hours at $33.80 an hour.
All right. Did I hear testimony that this weekend is the Joneses' weekend?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And what time is that scheduled to begin? What time is the pickup?
5:30 this evening.
All right. All right. Based on the evidence and the best interest of all of the children the subject of this suit, the court does hereby order placement of all 4 of the youngest children with the 2 older siblings with Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Court finds that's in the best interest of the children. The children shall be dropped off, picked up at the time mentioned by Ms. Jones. I believe it was 5 or 5:30. The children shall remain, shall not to return, but shall remain with the Joneses. I do want to thank the elders for all that they have done for the children. I certainly would be, it would be quite unfortunate for the children were they to drop off from the lives of these children. Clearly, there was a point in time when I believed that placing the 4 youngest with them was in the best interest of the children. Things change, and so hence my ruling and order today. The court is going to direct the attorneys to submit a proposed child support order obliging Darren Gatson to pay to Melissa Jones $2,816.25 a month. Commencing on October the 15th and the 15th of every month thereafter until further order of the court. The court finds this is in accordance with the family code, the evidence, and the best interest of the children. That is to be submitted to Ms. Wallingford, my coordinator, by 5 p.m. Tuesday, 10:15.
And I have a question regarding child support, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Mr. Ogbadi.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to discuss it, but the code, based on the evidence you've known before, that Ms. Garson is, she's disabled 100%. So Mr. Garson is the one supporting both of them. And 154, 123 of the family code does allow you to deviate from due to extraordinary circumstances. So the fact that he's basically supporting the entire family, I believe you do have the power. Because based on what they said, the 7,000, about 7,000 gross. Of course, he has to pay taxes on those, and then the net, whatever is left for the net, and then taking 2,800 from that for why he has a disabled spouse. In my opinion, this is exactly what chapter 154 and 123. There's 17 factors you have to follow, and one of the things specifically mentioned is whether or not it would appear unjust. But because he's supporting a disabled spouse, I believe if you follow the guidelines in this case, it will be unjust. But that falls within your purview to reduce it a little bit, because it's going to cause undue hardship, and also the fact that they are facing active litigation. They may have to go get 2 different attorneys. So I do feel like it would be in the best interest of these children there for you to deviate, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ogbadi. I'm not, however, persuaded that applies. The perceived injustice that I have before me is not that one.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Now, that said, if by 5 o'clock Tuesday, the 15th, if you all can agree, if the attorneys can agree on a different amount than the $2,816.25, then I will strongly consider that agreement and that order. Okay.
In Your Honor, I apologize if I wasn't clear with Mr. Ogbadi. That's the net. His gross is $9,041.50.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It wasn't clear, but now it's clear.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you all. And so I will be looking for that order again electronically to my coordinator by 5 p.m. Tuesday, October the 15th. All right, parents, remember, continue to work your services, continue to demonstrate what you are learning, wherein you are changing, if at all. Remember that if at the end of this case, if you're not willing and able to provide a safe environment for your children, your parental rights may be further restricted or even terminated permanently. Our next scheduled hearing in this case is for a permanency review before final order, and that is January the 15th, 10 a.m. Our dismissal date is June the 7th, 2025. Now, I want to further admonish and caution everyone in this regard. Making false child abuse reports is a crime pursuant to Texas Family Code 261.107. If convicted, it is a state jail felony. That means up to 180 days to 2 years and a $10,000 fine. There are also provisions for attorney's fees and civil penalties. So a word to the wise, everyone be aware of that. All right, anything else from anyone else?
Oh, yeah, no, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you all very much. Please take care, and we are adjourned.
I have been racking my brain trying to figure out why they wouldn't want their kids to go with the grandparents. And the only thing I could come up with is the grandparents hold them accountable. They hold their son accountable, and they don't like that. They don't want to be held accountable for the deeds they've done. And, I mean, the parents called CPS at least 40 times, maybe 50 times, every single time. The grandparents had the other 4. They called CPS, and CPS has to look into every single allegation. I mean, at some point, it's like crying wolf. You know, it's just not going to happen. and they're going to end up getting charged for that. I mean, they even called in welfare checks late at night so they would make all the kids get up out of bed, terrified because the police are at the door and they're being woken up. They're supposed to be getting good night's sleeps, but they're being woken up because their parents want to pay the grandparents back for something. Now, I don't know what. Maybe the grandparents are the ones that told on them that there's a injury to a child. Maybe, I don't know. Somebody did. But maybe that's the reason. But you can't be thinking of your children if you're trying to get retribution on the people that are taking care of them. You don't care about your kids at that point, which is pretty disgusting, if you ask me. And I bet you that the grandparents are never going to see a penny of that child support. We'll be back for that, for child support issues, I bet you. Or the grandparents will just say, forget it, we don't really care. We just love the kids, which is also a possibility. But let me know what you guys think of this one. This is kind of a crazy one. Thank you so much for watching, though, and I'll see you next time.